Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at wheeltalkpodcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks. Boom shakalaka.
Hi, Ryan. Do you know what I was
I always
actually...
do that with Rachel. I do the...
Okay, so I've been listening to this podcast. You know what's hilarious is that when we start the okay, this is unrelated, but when we start the podcast, like I think of all these things I want to tell you, and it's like it's not like we haven't been talking for like 40 or 20 minutes beforehand. Sometimes it is actually a very long time, but then like once we hit like start, I'm like, oh, I want to tell you this.
Is it like anyway, you hold off so that you don't say something?
I think
until
it's I think it's subconsciously. I think I'm like subconsciously holding off. Okay, so this is what I wanted to tell you. I've been listening to this podcast called You're Wrong About, and I think I talked about it last week. And yes. I'm working my way up from their very first podcast to like current day, so it's gonna be a while.
There's a lot of episodes. I actually listened to a couple, or maybe one episode.
Did you like it?
I mean, I started listening to Princess Diana, but I'm like, I don't really give a shit about Princess Diana, so I'm like, maybe it's, I don't know.
Oh, well, I can give you some episodes I'll send you some that might interest you.
Because I'm not like a history person, so like.
Oh, well, then you might not like this podcast at all. But what's funny about it and what I like about it is that when they actually don't have like an intro. Like we have an intro and they don't have an intro. What they do is they take these stupid little phrases that they say like off camera or off recording, and that's their like tagline. Like she'll say something so fucking stupid or so fucking crazy that, and I can't even give you.
It draws you into the episode, but is it actually a quote from within the episode? So
no.
You like listen to see where it is in context.
No, it's never. No, it's never in the episode.
What?
And it's always something stupid like, you know, I think Hey Arthur was kind of similar to this because of this and this and this and this. And it's just one sentence. And then they go into the episode and every single week they introduce themselves and they say where they're from. Like they don't have like an actual intro that they did at the beginning. I would say, hi, I'm Becca and I'm a potter from Indianapolis. And then you would say, and I'm Ryan and I'm a potter from Southgate, Kentucky. And blah, blah, blah. And then we'd continue on with our episode. And I was like, I really like that because it's really informal, but it's also kind of formal.
Yeah. I mean, it seems repetitive for us to reintroduce ourselves, but, you know, like some places that do podcasts, like they'll have intro music and like they listen to the intro music in real time.
Yeah.
Like when they start and kind of get going that way, but...
Yeah, and they always have a tagline that they're trying to work on. So they're like, this is You're Wrong About, where we tell you what you're wrong about. And then the next week they'll say, this is You're Wrong About, where we tell you what you thought you knew, but really you didn't know, but sometimes you think you know. And it's like I've never heard one that was the same every time, and it's really funny. So anyway. I
don't know if we'll get to that point, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, we might get there, but who knows. And then towards the later episodes, they're like, and if you want to, you can support us, but if you don't have to.
That's great. That's kind of how you feel, too. You're like...
It's totally how I feel.
You're like, we're not in this to make money. Like, if you want to support us, sure, do it.
Buy some t-shirts.
Sure, I don't know.
Anyway, how was your day?
It was alright. Actually got done in the studio a little bit later than normal. I've been working a little bit after 5, but earlier this week I was kind of getting into the groove of like it started to get nicer outside. I don't know if you've like gone outside and like gone for walks or anything. I don't know if it's like 60s or 70s in Indy.
Oh my god, it's so nice. I've actually used my sunglasses. I haven't used sunglasses in like 6 years.
Yeah, so it's been nicer out. Like I went for a walk on Monday, and like today I, took a little bit more time to like get into the groove because I feel like I kind of I started planning out my week a little bit more this week because I was just kind of feeling overwhelmed on Monday morning with everything I was doing, and then I was like, when you plan your week and you're like a to-do list and then you don't match the things on your to-do list because you just underestimate how much time it takes you to do stuff, or just like overestimating what you can get done because you're like, oh, I can get those two things done, but I didn't plan for like going on a walk for 45 minutes. So I'm just like, be fine with not getting as much done as I like plan to do. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So like enjoying the weather outside is totally fine.
That is, what's so funny
going right to the studio at 5:30 and then being in there till midnight, and like, yeah, like I don't have to do that.
Look at you growing up and learning what's important in life. I love it. I've been learning that too. It's been great.
So yeah, pretty basic day. Other than that, unloaded the kiln. That's about it. What about you? You worked today, so.
Yeah, I've been working, and I feel like this week I've kind of been like a step behind the whole week. But it's been okay. It's like, I think also, I mean, I know that I did like a podcast like way, way, way long ago on depression, and I think that I don't know. I think that subconsciously I knew that I wasn't gonna like escape depression when I came to Indiana, but like when I came, but like, it's been 2 months almost, and now it's like wearing off, and I'm like, okay. Like I was telling you how I kind of have.
What's wearing off? Like the newness?
Yeah, like the newness and like the high, okay. and I think that like COVID, is balancing that out as well, because it's just like, okay, like I'm here, and so, but it's still good. It's just kind of just things are leveling out.
Is the depression for you like increased by added like stress, or is it like your mind racing when you have free time on your hands so that it just kind of adds on to it, or is it more like something else that induces it, or like
I don't know what induces
encourages it.
I don't know what induces it, and I think that's what we like don't know about depression, is that it's just like something that happens and there's like nothing to explain it. And like I was actually talking to somebody about this last night, and I'm very lucky in the fact that I have been able to like see and be aware of what's happening, and like that I am depressed, and like somehow I get out of it. Like somehow I'll go over and I'll be like, okay, I have to do the dishes, like, yeah, like, but I don't think that it actually comes on from anything specifically. I think that I am missing like Monroe a little bit. Like, I find myself driving home and then being like, oh, I need to get something at the store. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to the store. Like, I don't, like my introversion and then my depression like kind of collides. So, and so that's been kind of tough, because like in Monroe, it was like, oh, if I went to the store, I'd see somebody and they'd make my day better. Like I would see somebody that I know, and it
rather than just feeling like a chore.
Right. Like I at least knew the cashier, or I like, without a doubt, if I went into a store, I would see somebody that I knew. So, yeah, it's just kind of like different, but it's good. I mean, like, I'm not complaining. It's good. That's kind of what's happening this week.
Did the in general, like, does the added like routine and consistency of your schedule now compared to maybe last year, helpful. Like, does that help?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I know you were saying you were kind of wanting that you could eat at a specific time every day, and like, know that you're done at this time, or generally about this time, or.
Yeah, and I think that the difference between like depression, or at least mine specifically, in Washington versus here is that like here I have a kitchen and I can cook something and I can make myself, like, I can eat, and like I know the importance of eating. And like in Washington it was like, I'm not gonna, like, I wouldn't eat, like when I get like stressed, I don't eat. which is hilarious if you look at me.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, what? But
it's like some people, it's like stress eating, right?
Yeah, stress eating. I stress starve. So,
but also, I mean, you're getting enjoyment out of it. Like, I didn't realize you like to cook this much until you have your own place and you have your own kitchen and you're like making all these things. And I'm just assuming when you're making dinner, like you're making it, you're not like getting a Totino's pizza. I'm sure you do that occasionally, but like you're making yourself food.
Yeah, I really love to cook
on a very consistent basis.
I definitely think that if I was like in a situation that was just like Washington where I didn't have a kitchen and I came to this place, I don't think that I would be able to handle it as much. And so that's good. But yeah, it's just different. It's, you know, I think that it's great to like, people are always like, oh, you're so brave and like it's so fantastic that you like moved to a new place. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so, but also like you can still struggle when you like move someplace new.
It's not like you're escaping everything that you were before.
Yeah, and it's like I still sit in my car and I'm still like, I don't want to go in. Like I don't want to do that. But but yeah, it's anyway. That went really dark really quick, and I apologize. I didn't mean to do that. It
didn't seem dark to me. I just think it was educational for me.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I know you don't have depression, and I don't know if people know that, but he doesn't. I do. And I've never been clinically diagnosed, but it's very apparent. No, it's a lie. I have been put on depression medications once, and it made me so fucking mad. I was like so angry all the time. I was like, I can't do this. I'll just figure it out. It's fine.
Angry Becca.
Yeah. Well, that's what'll do it, especially when you grow up in middle America where everything's fine. Everything's fine.
It's fine. We're good.
You're fine. Everything's fine. Cool. Hey, we made it to like 11 minutes.
I know. Look at that.
I've always watched kind of how long it takes us to get to like our over rant or whatever, but I also didn't tell you this before, but can I read another listener talks survey response that we got that I thought was really funny?
I think we need to trickle these in every now and then.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some gold in there.
This is in the question of, just for fun, if you could have us say anything on the podcast anonymously, what would it say? And I fucking love this one. It says, okay, rant coming. Stop putting gold luster on shit pots and selling it like it's finesse art. Nothing wrong with it. I love that part because she's like, it's fine, but it still needs, it still needs to be intentional and done well. Also, the smushing, pinching look doesn't work for everyone, and sometimes it seems like an excuse to be lazy. A lazy maker and not take your time on your work. I can tell it took 2 seconds to make that, and you probably dropped it on the ground a couple times on accident. Again, that style needs to be done with intention, not as a response to accidents or lack of taking your time to make a good pot. The I like when things are imperfect only goes so far. Wabi sabi my ass.
See, that was one of the very first ones that I read too, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. Like when it says, okay, time for a rant or something, or like, oh gosh.
I'll stop there because I could keep going. Love listening to you both. That made my fucking year. That was so funny. There's a few really, really funny ones in here.
Do you think the pinch look, or are they talking about like where you, I don't know if you're hand building or if you're just adding pinched techniques to things so that you can like see the fingerprints?
I don't know. I wonder if they're talking about like a pinch pot sort of look. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm sure all of us have our own idea of what the smushed pinch look is in our minds. So I also think that a lot of people identify with this response. And a lot of people don't, and that's okay. But it, it's anonymous, so we didn't say this. I just read it. Now, I did laugh. So
The gold thing was funny too.
Fucking bomb. Okay.
So
sorry,
funny.
that was that.
You'll need to keep looking at that list because I don't ever look at that, or I don't look at it when we're talking. So.
It's like the equivalent of a really good review. Those are great.
Yeah, we're lacking in reviews now, so we got to go to this gold. There's gold in here.
There's gold. Yeah, so if some people want to give us some really quality reviews, we wouldn't mind.
If you want, I don't.
Funny ones would be preferred.
Or not, or
if you just give us 5 stars and then say whatever you want, that's fine too.
Make us laugh.
Yeah.
All right, on to some listener questions. So we've got some short ones, and then we got the longer ones that are going to lead into our topic today.
Yes.
So the short ones, the first one's easy peasy from Dean Anderson on Instagram. What clay do you throw with? What are you throwing with right now?
I will tell you, I have a twofer. So at work, we throw with Kentucky Mudworks, Big Turtle, which is not my favorite, and Brown Bear.
Which is a speckled tan?
It's not speckled. There is a speckled Big Turtle, though. Now, I know a lot of people that do love Big Turtle. Part of our issue is that we don't have a deerring pug mill for that Big Turtle, so... but also, I'm not a huge fan of gritty clay. That's just where it's at for me. I'm not a huge fan of it's a little bit coarse, and it's not my favorite. You're
throwing with it, like your production throwing with it. So
I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just not my favorite. Brown Bear, I love throwing with it, but it is a dark clay, and dark clay is hard for me mentally. So I'm a very clean thrower.
I've never thrown with that.
So what?
I've never thrown with Brown Bear.
It's great.
I've got a box of it, but I've never opened it. It's one of those where, what am I getting myself into if I open another box of clay that I planned to do something with that never did?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's really smooth. It's super smooth, and it acts like a porcelain, but it doesn't. And it kind of does behave like a porcelain. Like, it will warp a little bit, But, I've thrown with White Bear on the other spectrum, personally, I've thrown with White Bear. Unfortunately for me, White Bear doesn't vitrify at cone 6. So, or cone 5, cone 6. Oh. And I haven't done the test for it yet, but I would like to work with it, but I just need to figure out when it vitrifies. And so, sorry. Lloyd is licking an envelope behind my computer. But I would love to work with it, but I just need to figure out when it vitrifies, and I don't have a kiln for that. Other than that, I've been using Dark Star from Kentucky Mudworks. Everything that we use is from Kentucky Mudworks because Link is cool and Amico sucks. There, I said it. Fight me.
What are common Amico clays? I don't even know.
Actually, I don't know about Amico clays. I just know about their other stuff.
Dark Star is the only one. Don't you have another one that you're throwing with? Or that the Dark Star is your speckled white... Oh, White Bear. Okay.
Yeah, White Bear.
Gotcha. So I throw with Iceman, which is from Kentucky Mudworks. That's a white stoneware. No grog in mine. You can get it with grog. And I've been throwing with that a long time. I used to throw with standard 182, I believe, which was a 6 to 10 stoneware. I was not crazy about the 6 to 10 range, so it wasn't fully vitrified at cone 6. That's why I made the switch.
Oh, but disclaimer, not necessarily if you have a cone 6 to 10 clay, it can potentially be vitrified at cone 6. You do have to do the test, but a lot of them aren't vitrified at cone 6. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so mine was absorbing and soaking through and leaking onto counters and stuff. So, and I also used Laguna 608, which is a speckled tan kind of clay.
I like that one.
Started using that because Baker Hunt was using it, and I think they still use it, or they switched to a different standard clay or something. But yeah, that's where I started using it. I just really like I don't mind the grog or the grog with that clay because I'm not throwing with it 100% of the time. I don't know how that compares with Speckled Turtle. It sounds like Speckled Turtle might be a little bit
groggier.
Or Big Turtle.
Big Turtle, yeah.
Yeah.
I was so surprised at how smooth Dark Star was. The speckled clay, and I believe that Dark Star is the same clay body as Iceman. So, so it's kind of got that tannish look, and but I was so impressed at how smooth it was. So speckled clay has manganese in it. Sometimes they have iron specks, I guess, but this specifically has manganese, I believe. And most speckled clays have manganese, and that's what makes it. So it's not necessarily gritty, it's just little specks.
Yeah. Sometimes it has grit with it, but
yeah, sometimes.
Just because it's speckled doesn't mean it has to have grit.
Right. Yeah. I will say for the Western people, because we only talked about Kentucky Mudworks, I used to use Digi6 from Tacoma Clay Art Center. I cannot recommend Seattle Pottery Clay, but I used to use Digi6 from Tacoma Clay Art Center, and BC6 is a really good stoneware from them too. So, yeah.
Yeah, ours are local. Like if you're in, Minnesota and stuff, like you might, or Wisconsin, you might be using continental clay. So yeah, I mean, support your local clay distributor if you're close enough, and
if they don't have shitty clay.
Yeah, if you can get it at a good price and you want to support them and you like their stuff, so yeah,
cool.
That's the clay we use. The second question came from Andy on Earth, which you said you know him.
Yes.
From
he's not a potter, but he is. I don't know if he's a listener or not. I'm pretty sure he's a listener, but not a potter.
Yeah, so his first question is, how did you discover your love for ceramics?
Ryan?
I think I just liked it because of, like, when I started doing it, I liked it as a fun thing to kind of practice at and do something three-dimensional with my hands, because, generally I was pretty, like, good tech savvy or whatever, but I like doing something with my hands that was a little bit more creative, and I can actually, like, the process was really intriguing to me of like all the steps and just all of the learning that can happen along the way.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that you can learn about the throwing and about like the glazing and the whatever. Like there's so many different facets of it that you can just dig into. So that's what I really loved about it. And just, I was doing it in high school, and then I was doing it like in summer break and winter break. And like, that's what I wanted to spend my money to go to a studio and just kind of work solo and kind of work on my own and kind of set my own pace, and like that was really fun for me. So that's kind of what drew me to it.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I love clay now. I like it. But I would say that, and also like when I started doing clay, it was not because I thought it would be cool. It was because I wanted an extra credit in college. And I was like, oh, I should take a clay class. I heard it's easy. And
was it easy?
Yeah, not easy. And so, yeah, and I think that what I enjoyed about it, I think that had I been in a traditional clay class, I would not have lasted, and I would not have liked it actually. But because my professor was very okay with me kind of like doing what I wanted, I actually started on the wheel. I never started with hand building. And I honestly believe that that's why I stayed with it. It's very...
Because you didn't have to go through the like basics of something that you didn't enjoy, like learning how to make a coil pot and slab building.
Yeah.
Like you had no interest in that.
Yeah. And later I did do slab building, and I really enjoy slab building. But I have a very analytical brain. I'm really interested in engineering and physics and chemistry, like not chemistry actually, let's be real, and and like mathematics and stuff like that. And so the concept of throwing pottery on the wheel was really intriguing to me. So, and it made sense in my brain, and that's really the only part that I enjoy. Honestly, I mean, like the actual clay part. I'm not a huge fan of glazing. Also, not a huge fan of trimming. I mean, I'll do it, but like, it's really process based for me. So that's kind of what I like.
Yeah. All right.
I like
and
the
then
next
Andy
question.
had a follow up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was related to the last one, but it kind of relates. Do you ever feel uncreative, and how do you work around creative blocks?
Yes. Yes, we feel uncreative.
You do feel uncreative? Is that what you're
Do
yesing
you?
to?
I think it's...
Yeah, I would say for me the best answer for that is, I mean, I've heard this in different areas, but like just getting into the studio is kind of the first step, and just start working on something. And like that'll kind of doing the whole like I need inspiration to like spark or something, like something has to happen for me to get motivated to do it. Like you need a little bit more discipline to just show up sometimes if you don't feel like it, and you know that like it might, like if you need to get stuff done, just showing up for me is like what gets me to start getting into that mode.
I think that there's like a differentiation between also like, I think this is good that this question came, because how do you feel uncreative and how do you work around creative blocks? That question to me is geared more towards like the hobby potter, as opposed to the potter that actually does this for like a paycheck, you know? Because the potters that do it for a paycheck it's like there's no way to feel creative every day. Not only that, but there's probably no need to be creative every day. So it's mostly a motivational situation where it's like, okay, I have to get to work, you know? And like typically I feel like somebody that earns their money from pottery is like they have creative moments, but it's mostly like a day-to-day organizational task situation.
Yeah.
And but like when I feel uncreative and like I'm not doing pottery at Graves Co., I don't go into the studio. I just don't do it. Like,
yeah. I think for me, I'm reading this, like if I were to shift that and say, do you ever feel unmotivated? How do you work around lack of motivation? Like that's kind of how I read the creativity thing, because maybe I'm relating more with the like doing it with the business in mind. Like I'm making stuff that is toward the business. I'm not doing it to just make what I feel like making all the time and just being like totally spontaneous. Like I have a plan in mind of what I'm doing, so maybe that's how I read it.
Well, yeah,
and I think just showing up for me is what's beneficial.
Yeah, and I think that's good, because like I think this is actually 4 questions. Like, how do you ever feel uncreative? Do you ever feel unmotivated? How do you work around creative blocks? How do you get yourself motivated? Right? So like for you, it's just like, and I think that's true, just getting in and starting to do it. Or just doing it is how you get past motivation. But creativity, like if I'm feeling uncreative, like, and like I really want to get a jump start on like creating something new, like a new piece or something like that, for me it's being around people that are in the same craft as me, right? Like learning new ideas, talking about new systems and how we can fix those systems, you know, like going to somebody's studio. Like 10 out of 10, if you go to somebody else's studio that you like more than like that you actually like and you admire, you'll leave that place being like, I'm ready. I'm fucking ready.
Like, let's do something.
Fucking do this.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know, and like I think that's the difference, because like motivation is so inward. You really have to work on that internally, but I think that creativity comes from our surroundings and the people around us.
Yeah, so some people could be feeling creative from like going on a walk or sketching.
Yeah.
Or reading or something like that.
Yeah, or traveling, you know, or like, yeah. Like, or other people. Or watching Instagram. Like, a lot of people get creativity from Instagram or Pinterest. By the way, I bought Pinterest stock today. Kind of stuck to it.
Oh, did you? I have that on my watch list, but I still haven't.
It's down. It went down 20 points this week.
On the dip.
It's on the dip. But then it went up. Went up yesterday, so I bought it. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
How much are Becca and Ryan nerds?
All right. So those were our 2 shorter questions, and then thanks Andy for those. or 4 short questions, or 5. I don't even know.
Oh, whatever. Thanks, Andy.
So our longer questions that'll lead into our topic came from Love Good Ceramics and LV Pottery. So the first one is, could you go into detail of best shipping tactics and routes? And then the second one, which is related, is I was wondering about your packing and shipping routines. Anything from what materials you use to any things you've learned not to do. So, Becca, there was something that you wanted to drop at the beginning of this so you don't forget. And if anybody leaves here,
this is what I want you to know. This is what I want you to know, is that air moves. That's it. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
It does. I mean, it was really windy today. The air was moving out
moves.
there. It was blowing leaves around. Like,
okay, the biggest thing that I see an issue within packing is people packing not necessarily the tight bubble wrap, but the big bubble wrap. Tight bubble wrap you can kind of get away with because it's tight.
Like the like 1/2-inch bubbles versus like the 1-inch bubbles.
Versus like the 3-inch bubbles, and also those big pillows, the air pillows. Remember that especially, unless you're like, if you're shipping to your same state, that's one thing. But if you're shipping from Washington to Colorado, you're increasing and decreasing in altitude so much in that trip that it will fluctuate. The air will fluctuate and it will move your package. So the only way to avoid that is to use paper or fabric or foam or anything of the sort. So
something that doesn't expand and contract based on altitude.
So if you are having issues with your packaging and you are shipping things, and they're breaking, look at what materials you're using in your packaging to at first. Like, that should be the first thing. Then it should be your box quality. And then and then so on and so forth.
I can attest to that. I broke a ton of shit last year doing those mystery box sales. I probably packed like 60 or 70 boxes. Shit, at least in the mystery box sale, I probably broke at least 7 or 8 packages.
No kidding.
Yeah, and that's because some of them I was getting a little tight on materials, so I was like pulling out some of those big bubbles where they're about 1-inch bubbles, and I was wrapping a mug in there, and it's a mystery box, so there's multiple things in there. Yeah. And you wrap it, and you're like, oh, it's good, it'll be good, there's no moving, but it's especially important when you've got multiple things in a box, because they're going to be moving. Like, I don't know how they handle it. You don't know what happens once they pick it up. You don't know how people are handling this box. You stick fragile stickers on there. You don't know what the hell they're doing.
Oh, so, I can tell you what they're doing with the box, because Ken, one of my mailman, the majestic mailman.
Are they
from Monroe,
pulling
Washington.
Like a Ace Ventura or something, where he's like kicking it along the sidewalk?
Well, first of all, they will absolutely throw it across the room. But this goes into another thing that I think is really important to say, is that fragile stickers are a hoax. So
is it just a sign to say, look at me?
No, it's not even that. It's not even that people are just like, fuck this, and they throw it across the room because it says fragile. That's not the reason. Ken said, this is from Ken the mailman, says that when it goes to, so it has a fragile sticker on it, okay? So when it goes to the shipping warehouse, what happens is they have this big tub, this big bin that has all of the boxes in it. And the fragile boxes get put on the top because they're fragile. So they get put on the top. Then that big shipping container, that container with all the packages in it, dumps over and it drops 8 feet to the next level down. And now all of the actually fragile the opposite. Boxes are on the bottom. That is
so they get slammed.
Yeah, that is legit what happens. And just remember, and also, this is from a USPS rep that came and talked to us once. Just remember that the United States Postal Service is not a parcel service. It is never meant to be a parcel service. It is meant to be a mail service. They are not equipped to have as many packages as they do, so they have been like evolving,
adjusting,
as they go.
Yeah.
That's why, well, anyway.
Wow.
We'll get into it.
I would love to just see the life of a package and just see, like, what kind of...
Was it at Ensika? It was at Ensika where they did that. Okay, so at Ensika in Minneapolis, there was a museum that we went to, and I remember that museum. There was like there was the ceramic exhibit, blah blah blah.
I know what you're talking about.
Do you remember?
Was it a piece that they put a piece of glass that was the exact size of the box inside the box?
Inside the box,
and they shipped it and saw what happened to it.
And then they showed what the box looks like. It was mutilated.
They kept the box separate, and then they showed the glass inside the box and what it looked like.
I can't remember exactly. I feel like, they
Something
put the
that.
box next to the glass and showed what it looked like. It was crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so how should we do this? Should we start with inside out of the packaging and then move outward to like the boxes maybe?
Yeah. And then labeling.
Yeah.
And services for that.
Yeah. So working our way outward.
Okay. Explain how you pack your, like, if you have a mug, explain how you would pack it within a box. And then explain how you would pack 2 mugs within a box. 1 mug versus 2 mugs.
Yeah, for me, the mugs, if it's just 1 mug, I will usually use these bubble sleeves that I have because this lady drops them at my house and I get them for free.
They're small bubbles.
It's a small bubbles, and it's like, think of it like an Amazon like bubble sleeve that you would get, like a packaging sleeve. So it's perforated. I just undo it and then I wrap it in that. Usually once, and it's in a box that's 7x7x6 typically, so it's big enough for the mug to sit inside it with enough stuff around it so that it doesn't move. That's usually what I would do for 1 mug. I also just got that Ranpak Giami wrap thing.
Oh, you did?
So if I do, I got one of the manual ones, so you kind of pull it. It's like 450 yards, I think.
How much did it cost?
I think it was about $70.
That's a fucking ton of money.
Well, it's the manual one too, so I mean, I don't know how much it's going to do, but $70 is a ton of money for packaging stuff. I was seeing it as like a time saver thing.
Oh no, I think they're good. I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm just saying that's a lot of money. Packaging equipment is so expensive. Yeah. Anything in packaging is so expensive.
Yeah, so I got that with the intention of like, hey, I'm going to be shipping more stuff in 2021 because I shipped more in 2020 than I ever have, like tenfold. So if I had 2 mugs, I would most likely use the Giami wrap thing, which what that is it's like a brown paper, and then it expands it like waffles as you expand it. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would do with 2 mugs most likely. But again, like I said, I get these like bubble sleeves for free, so if there's enough space, I'll try to use the bubble sleeves first and foremost because I just have them and it doesn't cost anything, and I have plenty of them. So if it is 2 things and I'm worried about it, I might wrap it. I might wrap it twice in the bubbles twice so that it's nice and full, and then I'll usually like tighten that with a like a shrink wrap kind of thing on the like the hand roll, and like make sure the bubbles don't move and like unroll or anything like that. So that's kind of how I would wrap an individual mug or 2 mugs.
And how much space do you think you have around the mug in the box?
At least an inch.
Okay.
All the way around.
Okay.
What about you? If you were doing a mug, how would you do it on your side? Well, I guess we can talk about the typical mug that you were shipping.
Right. We're talking
so people kind of get an idea.
In pretense here. Post tense? Pretense.
Past tense.
Past tense. Okay, we're talking in past tense here. Okay, so when I ship a mug, I find the smallest box that I possibly can. That'll fit the mug. No, I'm kidding. So I like to stay standardized shapes. Okay, let's start with what I actually pack it in. I used to do recycled material. I do not anymore. If I'm going to ship a mug, I'm gonna ship it and I wrap it in paper, with a roll of paper from Uline.
How thick is that? Is that like a?
I think it's like.
Is it like the brown paper that you would get off the metal roll that you
it's a
like
butcher
pull
paper,
and then
like a
rip?
roller butcher paper. The thicker, I use the thinner stuff just because I'd always use it at shows as well. And also, side note, I really like those rolls of paper for going to shows because then you can wrap your stuff really quick and then stick it in the bag. It's no fuss, no muss. I used to do it with newspaper and it's fucking terrible.
It gets dirty.
It's so dirty and it's just so much space. Like the roll of paper is so compact.
Yeah.
And so I wrap the mug initially just so that it's all wrapped in, and then I stuff, the rest of the paper on the inside. I put a sticker in there, and then I fill up the box with peanuts, about an inch of peanuts on the bottom. Not the styrofoam ones, the fucking cornstarch ones. Even though they're worse. Let's be real.
Because they stick to any kind of moisture.
and in Washington, having cornstarch peanuts is the worst thing in the entire world. It rains all the time. Like, me and Andrew used to count how many cornstarch peanuts got stuck to our shoes. So many. Okay. Anyway. So
1 inch of peanuts.
1 inch of peanuts. Stick the mug in, or the cup, upside down, and then put the peanuts on top. Or whatever is the widest point of the cup, I put that downwards. And then I will fill up the rest with peanuts. And then I make sure that the lid, it's like closes, but it presses down the peanuts so that it's
nice and compact.
And that's it. And I leave maybe inch to an inch and a half, or inch to a half an inch around it. I always
all the way around it.
I always put the handle of the mug to the corner of the box. Remember that the corners are going to be the strongest part of the box.
Yeah. So your mugs are always standing upright in the box. They're not on the side.
Yes.
Yep.
I like to get longer boxes so that they close at the ends. Because, you can get, an 8x8x6 or a 6x6x8 box. I think that's what I ship my mugs in. A 6x6x8. And so, but you could have it open at the 8 inches long part. I have them open at the 6x6 part.
Okay.
It's
a little confusing, but...
Yeah, it is a little confusing. But basically, I have it open, not like a shoe box where it's, flat. I have it open long ways, so it's more like a...
But why would your mug box that you're shipping in not be square? Why would it not be a cube?
Well, because I have a lot of different sizes of things.
Okay.
And because 8x8x6 doesn't cost any less or more than 8x8x8. Or 6x6x6. Well, sometimes 6x6.
So with the paper wrap, how much is it cushion?
It's not.
Is the peanuts doing most of the cushion?
Peanuts are cushioning most of it. I just do the paper wrap just so that it looks nice, to be completely honest.
Okay. So it's more of an unwrapping situation when they're taking the piece out. Yeah. Okay.
Very uncomplicated.
What about... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say... I feel like I have to, make myself... This is so stupid that I feel like I have to say that I'm qualified in this, at least a little bit. But but my best friend ships so much stuff, thousands of pieces
What
a
is
month.
So much? Okay. Thousands a month.
And I taught him how
What
to
are
ship.
those? What are those pieces?
He ships...
Are they are ceramic pieces.
Yeah, he ships mugs, but he ships them already in boxes. But we'll get to that next when we talk about multiples.
Okay, so with me, the multiple, two to a box or whatever, I would wrap each individually. How would you wrap 2 mugs?
No, you go first.
No, I already said it. I would wrap each one of them in a Giami wrap, most likely, and put them side by side.
Would you put anything between them?
It depends, but usually if the box is wide enough, I can get a lot of extra peanuts in between them from kind of the top, and then if it's something that's going to bump or something, I might put a little sliver of cardboard between them.
Okay. I've heard 2 different theories on this, which we'll talk about, but I think that they're both actually really good. One is putting cardboard between, and that's what I do. And the other one is just taping those 2 fuckers together. So
yeah. So they move as one unit.
So they're not bumping up against each other. That's when pieces break the most, is when they bump up against each other. So, so if I'm going to ship multiple pieces, I will not be wrapping them in paper. I wrap my pieces in corrugated cardboard. So I use a 6-inch and a 4-inch. So I'm going to wrap the 6-inch around the width with the handle. And that's how wide my mugs are, they're like 5.5. So they fit like right under the 6-inch. And I wrap that around it, and then I wrap the 4-inch cardboard around that one. So it makes like a little individual box for each mug. Right. Now, if I have like if I was shipping 2 different tumblers that don't have handles, I might wrap those and then I'll stick a piece of cardboard between them and then ship them off with the same packing peanuts. But if I have like 4, I'm always going to wrap them individually and put them in a little box. And if I have a box that size, if I'm shipping 4 tumblers and they are 5 inches by 4 inches by 4 inches, and I have a 5 by 4 by 4 box, I will just put them in those boxes and just, close them up real quick and then throw them in the box, because then I know they'll get there, no question. And the box is like 20 cents, maybe 15 cents.
Yeah.
10 cents. I don't know. It's very, very cheap. So I am a big fan of wrapping them individually within cardboard and then putting them with peanuts around it. And then that way you don't have to worry about the space around it. 'Cause I've literally wrapped, I've wrapped 40 mugs in a 20 by 20 box. No, not 40, maybe 36. In a 20 by 20 box, and I've individually wrapped them in corrugated cardboard and put peanuts, 2 inches of peanuts on the bottom and 2 inches of peanuts on the top, and that was it. And they made it.
Is there stuff around the edges?
Maybe. I don't remember for sure. But usually no, and one of them fell out of the back of my car.
I can't remember what episode that is, but if you didn't hear that,
yeah,
oh my gosh, that's a hilarious story.
I drove to the post office and I didn't realize that my trunk was open, and the box fell out of the back of my car when I was getting onto the highway, and it smashed onto the ground, and this amazing person found it and then called me on my business line, and I was like, "Do you have my box?" Because I was looking for it for 20 minutes. Because I figured out that my back door was open when I got to the post office, and it had fallen on the street and nothing broke. And I had 35 mugs in that box. And they were all just wrapped. And I think I did have the corners pretty, nicely cooked.
Yeah.
Packed. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty incredible that just individually wrapping them is that effective.
Yeah, I'm wondering, so if you're shipping 2 things, it probably doesn't matter, but if you're shipping 2 things, is it better to have the 2 pieces as close to the middle as possible, even if they're touching in 2 separate cardboard, versus having them on their own islands and wrapping stuff around them?
Yeah, I think so. Especially if they had 4 different if you had 4 pieces and they were 4 different cardboard boxes almost, just shove them all into the middle. And then another thing, I heard somebody that worked at the Campion Gallery, they said that they just take the 2 pieces and they tape them together. They bubble wrap each one and then they tape them together. Yeah. And that way they don't move anywhere.
Yep. And I think they might use that dense
foam.
Foam, clearish.
I think you're right.
Foam. I don't know what it's called, but yeah,
that foam
it's really
is real nice.
Dense. Yeah. Okay, so that's mugs. You pretty much use and then if we go to different forms like bowls, that's the thing that I do differently. I use the corrugated cardboard kind of method. I use the 6-inch. Hate bowls. Yeah. I do the 6-inch corrugated cardboard. What did you want to say about the corrugated cardboard that you said before? Because you told me this about how wide it should be in relation to the piece. Do you remember?
I think it should be probably just a little bit wider.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like half an inch wider than your piece at least, or more.
Yeah, just so that it fully encompasses it, and there's not some exposed or whatever.
And let's be clear, when you're doing corrugated cardboard, there is no, I'm just going to wrap it once, one way around. You have to wrap it once, turn it, and then wrap it again. Okay? So it needs to have all 4 sides or all 6 sides covered in cardboard. I have done it the other way, and they did break. So
yeah, there's not. I mean, it has to be the tightest fit possible to even stay in there. Like it's not gonna stay.
Yeah. God, I freaking hate bowls. One time I was doing those wide bowls. You remember like the ones your mom has? They're like pasta bowls. And
oh, those would suck to
they were
wrap.
Fucking terrible. Somebody ordered 6 of them or 8 of them that I had to ship, and I ended up getting boxes and just like shoving the bowl into the flattened box and then taping it around it so it looked like a flying saucer, and then just like shoving them into the box. And they were all like butt to butt against each other. None of them broke, but they were definitely secure.
Those bowls are wide. Like they're like 8 inches wide and 3 inches tall or something.
No, they're like
right?
2 inches tall. They're not that tall. So they're more tall. Like,
I wonder if something like that, if somebody got 4 of them, like, would it be better to just use like a really thick piece of cardboard and like stack them in between each one and like stack them and then wrap all of that into like corrugated cardboard?
I feel like I have done that.
So like as one unit, and then like making sure there's enough padding all around it.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I have done that, for sure.
Because bowls take up a lot of space when you have to wrap each one individually and like fit them into a box. And
when it's funny that you were talking about when you were doing those mystery boxes that you had a few break. We went about our mystery box adventure much differently than each other, and I was like, for me,
you freaking piled as much as you can in there, and it sounded like you didn't have any padding at all. Like you were using the physical pieces to fill the space.
I was. Like Ryan was like, you can get 3 to 5 pieces, and I was like, this is the size of box. I will fill it with as much shit as I possibly can. Like I was putting, like, I had like garden stakes. I had, like little ornaments. I had tiny bowls, and I was using the bowls as padding, and I was like wrapping every single piece in cardboard, and like. They were so packed. None of them had a single inch to spare, like at all. And nothing broke. Nothing broke. Now most of them were like 5x4x4 boxes. Or no, 7x4x4. Oh, let's talk about
the one funny story that I thought was like a great idea. Somebody bought a mug, or I think it was back in the day when I was adding extra pieces in there.
Oh, yeah.
So I would throw a shot glass in there, and what I was doing was, like, wrapping the shot glass and, like, putting it inside the mug.
Yes.
But it's like a freaking rattle. So, like, if it comes out of whatever paper you wrap it in, if it's not wrapped very well, or if it's not in, like,
it wasn't, like, super snug?
I wrapped it in something, like, loose, or, like, paper, but it was, like, very loosely wrapped. Or like tissue paper. Picture like tissue paper wrapped up inside of a mug. So this thing was just like a fucking rattle as they were like shipping this thing. So for this extra bonus thing of like this $7 shot glass, they got a freaking shattered mug out of it. The shot glass might have survived, but I had to replace the mug, and oh gosh. That was bad news.
Yeah. I also
now I do them separately. I wrap the mug and then keep it separate.
I'll shove the cup inside. Linderman Potter, so Andrew Linderman actually just sent me a cup that I bought that was beautiful, but he also sent me a housewarming gift, which was a utensil holder or a wine chiller, that I frequently just learned, and he wrapped
he wrapped it like a good, he wrapped it properly. He didn't just loosely wrap that thing and put it in.
He used big bubbles, but he's in the same time zone as us, so there wasn't a lot of altitude situations going on.
Wisconsin to Indiana is probably not that bad.
Yeah. I grew up in Colorado, so I was always used to like things fluctuating. If you ship anything from Colorado to any other state, you're like, that air's gonna deflate.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he had the cup right inside the wine chiller. So, but yeah, I'll just shove it right inside. But oh, also I wanted to talk about garden stakes because for some reason I feel like this is the only applicable conversation to have a conversation about garden stakes because potters make garden stakes. The way I ship garden stakes, when I ship them...
Can you explain the profile of a garden stake so people
Yes.
can get an idea?
A garden stake is a long... My garden stakes are 10 inches long, about a 1/4 inch thick, and about 1 inch wide. Okay.
That's long, yeah. I was picturing little ones that are like 5 inches long.
Mine are longer than the average because
Yours are for like big plants, like tomato plants and stuff like that.
And I take into account that you want to stick the garden stake into the dirt, and you need at least 4 inches for that. It will not stay up if it's only 2 inches.
So a 10-inch long slab of clay.
Yeah. Like a long flat slab of clay. I take a 15-inch piece of, or whatever, like 15, 9, 10-inch piece of corrugated cardboard. I had 15. That's what I just had. So, and then you put one garden stake down, you roll over the cardboard, you put another one on top, you roll it over, and keep doing that until you get like a tube, and then you can tape that tube up, and then put it in a tube, and then ship the tube. Or put it in a package.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I get all my stuff from Uline. I know a lot of people have an issue with Uline because of their political beliefs. I don't look too much into that kind of stuff because they employ people with other political beliefs. But where do you get your shipping supplies usually from?
Mine is nice and local. I like it because I don't have to pay for delivery. Mine is from AM Shipping Supply, which is located in Cincinnati, Ohio. You should look them up if you're close. I don't know what their shipping is regionally, but maybe it's decent. So basically the only stuff that I get there are the biodegradable packing peanuts. Like I just got 3 big bags of them recently. Didn't cost anything to ship it because my order was over $50. And then I get some 4x4x4 and 5x5x5 boxes that I got recently. Sometimes I'll get larger ones. Like I got some like overstock boxes that they had that were like 10x8x8 maybe.
Okay.
So they're like big enough for a couple like 3 pieces maybe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, if I need to buy shipping supplies, that's who I buy them from.
Okay.
But my boxes, otherwise, I'll get them from USPS.
Cool. That's where we differ the most. So that's a good segue. Let's talk about boxes.
That is. So the USPS boxes that I get are the 7x7x6, which is basically like a cube. That's perfect for an oil bottle, a mug, one bowl. Yeah, priority mail. They're not the flat rate ones. So that's 7x7x6 is the most common that I use. It's just really good for multiple small things or single medium-sized, regular-sized things. And then I'll usually get the 12x12x8 boxes as well, which are priority. A little bit bigger. They're good for maybe 3 or 4 bowls or, a pitcher and a mug or, larger stuff that needs a little bit more breathing room. So those are the typical boxes I use. Occasionally, I'll use the regional rate, but it was funny because I just recently got regional rate boxes in the mail, and I never realized how damn thin they are.
They're very thin.
When I held a stack of 25 regional rate boxes next to a stack of 25 priority mail boxes that are the 7x7x6, they're like half the thickness. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know that you want to be shipping those, like, longer than, like, really locally to you. So I would say those are like a last resort for me. Regional rate A and regional rate B. So, and I never use the flat rate boxes. Well, I can't say that. I use the small flat rate, which are the little small boxes. They're about the size of like a DVD or something like that.
Yeah.
That I'll use for my spoon rest.
I think that it's important to note that flat rate is not necessarily cheaper than priority.
I would say for me, historically it's more, unless you're shipping multiple things.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people think that flat rate means that it's cheaper, and that is not necessarily true.
I think flat rate means convenient.
Yeah,
that's what
true.
I translate it to.
Well, and I mean, what
convenient
is nice
for the
about,
seller.
Yeah, what is nice about flat rate is that you can just say, "Oh, it's this much flat rate." Obviously, that's the convenience part. But yeah, I stopped using USPS boxes almost immediately.
What were you using? Were you using the ones that I use?
I don't know. I think I was just using flat rate or priority like that. This was in 2014. And then I switched pretty quickly to Uline boxes, the 200-pound, or wherever you want to get your shipping supply boxes, the 200-pound boxes. They have a test 200-pound weight.
I wonder if they changed since 2014 when you stopped using them.
Maybe.
I don't know. What was your reasoning behind it? Like, why did you switch?
There's a few reasons. I feel like it's a little easier to get specific size boxes, and with that comes a little bit more consistency within your shipping. Now, obviously, you can have consistency with a priority rate box, but like, you know, when I did a restock or whatever, one mug went in a 6x6 box, 6x6x6 box. 2 mugs went into an 8x 12 by 8 box. You know, like, it was very consistent. You know, and
so you're getting the boxes based on the needs that you have versus shoehorning what you have into boxes that you have no choice over what size they are.
Correct. So it's just a little easier, and yes, it does cost money, but at the end of the day, it's not that much more expensive if you're saving a little money on shipping, because a lot of the times the priority rate boxes can be a little bit bigger than what you actually want them to be. So, or what you need them to be. And also they're thicker. They're significantly thicker
than a Uline box?
Like, my Uline boxes are thicker than like a priority rate box. They're
okay.
They're like more substantial.
So they're heavier duty.
You know? They're a little heavier duty. And I might not necessarily be shipping USPS. That's another reason. I don't want to minimize myself to USPS because sometimes I can get a better rate from UPS or FedEx. So.
What was I going to say? What would a comparable price for a Uline 7x7x6 box be? If you were shipping something like that. Sure.
Okay.
I mean, the ones that I was looking up for, like, the smaller boxes I was getting they were in the like 20 to 30 cents a piece kind of range.
Yeah, and you have to buy them in like packs of 25, which is
that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna use 25 boxes anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. A 200-pound test, 38% stronger.
You were also shipping from Washington. What percentage of the time would you say you were using USPS versus other for what the common person would be shipping, like 1-to-1 kind of shipping, not like wholesale orders and stuff like that?
Right. Yeah, because like wholesale, I always use FedEx.
Yeah, that freight, like that's their sweet spot. Like that's what they do.
Yeah. And also UPS in Washington sucks. But I feel like their prices went up. Typically, yes, it was mostly UPS or USPS, and also what was great about being in a business and being where we were is if I had 30 boxes to pick up, all I did was text Ken and be like, I have 30 boxes, please come pick them up. And he'd pick them up in the back. So I never had to take them to the post office, which is really nice. USPS was definitely like the go-to. However, I use Shippo, and Shippo recently got a really good deal with UPS. and UPS's rates went like way down. So a lot of the times UPS rates were like super good. Unfortunately, UPS was really inconvenient sometimes.
Because you had to go physically drop it off?
Yes.
Or you had to pay to get them to pick it up?
Get them picked up. And sometimes if you have them pay to pick it up, they won't pick it up because our UPS sucks. Like, you know, in Monroe. Sometimes it's good, but where we were, it was not. So that was really inconvenient. So we typically use USPS because Ken. I mean, let's be real. Ken.
Yeah. I mean, the convenience factor is a big part for me of the whole buying a bunch of boxes online, having them shipped to my house and get ahead of the game. And then the whole, my street is a dead end street. So they actually drive their vehicle in front of our house and they usually pick up whatever we have because I'll usually do a request to pick up or whatever. Like they know it's coming. Yeah. And they pick it up. It's no problem. Like I don't worry that they're not going to pick up my stuff every single day. Right. Like I know it's going to happen. So if you live in a certain area where you don't have very reliable pickups or, you know, they're just behind or I don't know, then, you know, USPS might not be as convenient because you still have to go somewhere.
And it might be, it's totally relative to who your postal services are and like, you know, which one's better in that area and so on and so forth. Also, tip your postal service, by the way. Tip your...
I don't know that they can actually accept cash.
We talked about this. They can have a gift less than $50. Your mom
Did we
and
talk
I
about this on the podcast?
No, I feel like me and you and your mother, Deidre, talked about this. Or maybe it was just with...
We did, but I think this is good for the podcast because we should be appreciative of our...
Yeah, always.
So like last year, I think at the end of this year, well, not this year, 2020, I think I gave him a mug, like a carved mug, and like wrote him a note and stuff. And I found out his name. His name's Bo.
His name's Bo. Yeah, you can give a gift up to $50 in value, quote unquote, to your postal service man. So, yeah.
Which could be like a gift card or something that is not of cash value, right?
Right, I believe so. I don't know. I mean, we kind of didn't follow the rules.
Yeah, my mom used to give them like baked goods, like chocolate covered pretzels and stuff back in the day and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like all the stores on Main Street would pull together and get Ken like a really big gift. And then it was from everybody. So it was technically less than $50 per person. So. Yeah. Okay, so the 7x7x7 box, 200-pound test is $47. Or not 47 cents per box. Okay. And I feel like their prices have definitely gone up, but I'm not sure. Let's see, 6x6x6.
Does the branding at all matter to you with the boxes? I know it's kind of a standard, like it looks consistent, but you never like stamped them or anything like that.
I feel like I stamped them at one point, like I have a big stamp, but then I was like, this is too much work.
So yeah, I have a 4x4 stamp, and I stamp all of my brown paper boxes and my USPS ones. I mean, USPS has really got a lot of branding on there already, so there's not really a lot of free space to just stamp, but I do stamp them.
You know what you can do, and what we've done, is that now you have that Rollo printer. What Andrew always used to do is just print out this, like, awesome, stupid, like, follow 5 Lines Pottery on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. And it was just on the Dymo labeler, so it was like a 4x6 labeler, and he would just stick it to the side. It's perfect.
Yeah, so that was the branding. Yeah.
And it has like a really shitty black and white photo on it. So funny. But yeah, no, I do think that if you're going to brand your pieces, you should be buying like regular brown boxes, because if you're going to stamp
it'll look way more professional.
It looks like shit if you're going to use a USPS box. Let's see, what else? Oh, tape. What kind of tape do you use? I feel like this is important and something that's never talked about.
I don't know. I just get like an 8-pack of white packing tape off Amazon, and I have the little U-line like roll like tape gun thing to roll it out and make it quicker. So that's what I use. I haven't got to the point of looking up costs for those like dispensers for the paper tape and all that.
Oh yeah, like tons of people have those paper dispensers. I've often wondered if those are faster or not. We use regular tape too, but I like to use the Uline brand because it's thinner than everything else. And I feel like 3M brand, I know this is so nerdy and it's terrible, but I feel like the 3M brand is really, it's like thick and it doesn't stick as well. It's not as sticky. So I think that the
Very
lowest
nerdy tape thought.
Yeah, the cheapest quality tape that you can get actually I think is the best quality tape you can get, in my opinion. Because I feel like the 3M is kind of like the high-end tape, and it's not, in my opinion, not great at all.
I would say don't get the cheap. Don't get like Dollar Tree tape.
No,
that does not stick as good.
No, not
that's
that.
pretty terrible.
Ooh, and how do you tape your boxes? Do you like, for instance, on a box smaller than 8 by 8 by 8, I do not tape the sides. So I'll only tape the top and tape the bottom. And like, I don't tape the side of the box, on the corner.
A lot of edge, yeah.
Yeah, I will only tape the corner if it's like above an 8 by 8 by 8 box or an 8 by 8 by 12.
Yeah, for me, if it's the 12 by 12 by 8, I do tape the sides. Mm-hmm. So I'll go kind of down like the hot dog bun, kind of like down the length, and then I'll kind of tape the edge where it meets the where it meets the side. So I'll do that only on the 12 by 12 by 8, but everything else I just do strip down the middle. And then I'll put the label on a flat surface so that it's not wrapping over anything. It's not getting crinkled on the tape. Stuff like that so that it's nice and clean to be scanned. There was something else about the box that I wanted to ask, but I'm trying to remember. Oh, the only other thing I wanted to say about the box. You can get those... The boxes that I get, they are free from USPS.
Oh, yeah.
So just go to USPS.com, look up the shop, and look up free shipping supplies. The reason they're free is you're guaranteed to use their service. You're going to use priority for them. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a bunch of branded stuff out there that says USPS all over it. And it's a standard size. I don't know. It's probably a convenience factor for them once they get it into the building. They know how many of those boxes can fit into certain bins or whatever. So, yeah, I usually get them in batches of 25 at a time. And I look ahead to make sure I have enough. Usually, for me, if I order them, it will take about 7 days to get them to the house. But it could take longer. At the end of the year, it took longer because of, just the increased demand. But yeah, I usually order them in batches of 25 at a time. You know
what I do order from USPS? If I have to ship something long, I'll order those triangle tubes. Because those are free. Oh. And I don't want to pay for
What do you put in those?
I put the garden stakes in those. Okay. And I've also put small stuff too.
How long are those tubes? Are they?
They're pretty fucking long.
What are they advertised for? Posters or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can cut them down. Okay. Now that we've got the boxes out of the way, this is good because I have a different label printer than you. What labels do you use?
Okay, so right now I use Rollo, ROLLO, because.
They sponsor him.
They don't sponsor. She told me that her friend reached out to them. So I reached out to them through their contact info and said I'd be happy to advertise for you if there's a way we could partner. So they sent me a free printer, 500 free labels, and a label holder for nothing.
But he has to do certain things, and you have to fulfill your contract, by the way. It is a contract.
So what I did was... I think I did 4 to 6 stories about the printer and tag them in it and then do some video, some kind of post or video. So I did an IGTV video kind of showing people how the printer works, of what I do once I fulfill an order in Etsy and then actually printing it off. So super quick and easy. I really like it. It's a thermal printer, so it doesn't need any, any ink or toner or anything like that. It totally does it based on heat. So you just kind of shut it, label auto feeds, and then like I pull up the thing, set the print job, say print, and it prints within half a second. Like there's no starting it up time. There's no like warming it up like a inkjet or whatever it would do to like get it like accept the job and then like process it and then print it like super quick.
Tell them how you were doing it.
So I was doing it, I mean, a long time ago, I was doing the inkjet thing and doing the paper, cutting the paper, taping it with packing tape, like wasting a bunch of tape that way. And then I upgraded to a laser printer. So I was using that for the longest time. And so that's black and white only, like super easy to print a bunch of different things. But I was using the half sheets. I was getting half sheets off Amazon that are like sticky labels. So you get an 8.5 by 11 and half of the sheet is kind of perforated. And you print off on that and then you peel half of it. And I was sticking half of a 8.5 by 11 sheet for one label on a box. I was doing that for the longest time. And then Becca came up and was like, dude, like, you're wasting. or we were just trying to see if there's a way, because a lot of times you print something and it's a 4x4x4 box. Like you can't stick a label that's that big on there. You have to use the shrink kind of thing to get it to like 66% so that it actually fits on the 4x4 box and doesn't overwhelm the whole package. Yeah. So I was already doing that and I was having all this excess paper, and she was like, you could like print this on a smaller piece. So then I was cutting the 8.5 by 11 in half and using half of that to print 2 labels on. So each was a quarter of a page, and I was like feeding that through. So kind of the same concept, but it was a little smaller.
I think it's important to note that if you are not into buying a label printer, which by the way, they are very expensive and not everybody can get them for free like Ryan.
Yes. That printer was like $180 retail, I think.
Yeah, and that's cheap. If you're not going to get a label printer, like let's say you're not like packaging and shipping like a ton, then keep in mind that most modern printers nowadays will print on a 4x6 card. They are designed to print 4x6 labels. You just have to buy the labels. And so like my Canon has a feeding position where you can literally put an envelope in it and it'll print the return address and all the things. So you can also put in like I put 4x6. Like if you've gotten a package from me, you've also gotten probably in the recent years, you've also gotten a neon card that says like, I really wanted to write a handwritten thank you note, but I just didn't want to. It was like, thanks for buying my shit. And and people think that I wrote it, but I actually printed like 100 of them on like note cards. So you can do that on labels as well.
That's what the little kind of drag kind of channels are inside your print.
And there's usually always a separate like entrance for like a letter or something like a 4x6 card. So that's helpful too.
Like an auto feed, like you flip it down and feed it.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to go back also because I texted Rebecca and I wanted to ask her what shipping brand, what she uses, because she doesn't use paper. Well, she does. So you use the Rampack thing, and what Rebecca uses is for like when you ship like thousands of packages. They're shipping like 600 packages a week. So,
holy shit.
Yeah.
That many?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they're shipping a lot. So they use what is called a Storopack, and the paper is called Storopack Paper Plus. And if you are shipping a ton, this is something that you should be looking into. Brandon at Brown and Pratt in Indianapolis is who you want to talk to, and Brown and Pratt. Anyway, these machines, I believe the way that they do it is they lease out the machine. So you get the machine for free, essentially. But you have to buy the paper by the pallet. So if you know like 4 different artists, you could always split the pallet and get like the different machines, or like the machines are cheap but the pallet of paper is really expensive. So look into them if you're shipping like a high volume.
Yeah.
This
or
is
you're
like
doing a lot of wholesale or something like that.
Yeah, so what it does is it's this paper that kind of looks like a butterfly, and it goes through this machine and it crinkles it up when it goes through, and then it shoots it out and it cuts it at the certain length that you need. So then you would put it into a box crisscrossed, and then you can just put the piece right inside and then flip those papers in, and that's it. It's the fastest system I've ever seen, and it's like really effective, and yeah, it's super good. So I wanted to put that in there because I forgot to say that. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Okay, so the label printer that I use is a Dymo labeler. I have the Label Writer 4XL, and I also have the Label Writer 450. The 450 is for little tiny labels. That's what I use to mark all my pieces when I sell them. But the 4XL is the one that you'd want to get for a 4x6 label. It's kind of a bitch. I'm not going to lie.
Why is that?
It's on a roll, and I feel like the roll gets kind of like, it's problematic. So I've actually heard that the Rollo printer is a lot better. So I should ask Andrew. I think he confirmed that it is a lot better than his Dymo, because he did the same thing you did. Actually, he's the one.
I mean, I can just imagine the 4x6. Like, if you roll that enough, like, it's gonna get, especially when you get near the end of the roll. I don't know how big the rolls are in there, but I mean, the Dymo, everything is encapsulated into one kind of area, right? It has a lid, like it shuts and everything.
Yeah, it shuts. So. And like, I mean, I haven't really had that much of an issue with it. Andrew had issues with his all the time. He used his a lot more than I did. It does hook up to a Mac, which is nice. I'm sure Rollo does as well. And you can design on the app, which is also nice. But yeah, I definitely think that thermo labelers are super fantastic, and they are extremely they're worth every single penny. I haven't heard a single person that once they got a labeler, they were like, why didn't I have this before? That's what they usually say.
What would your recommendation be for somebody that's shipping like 50 packages a year?
I would say 50 packages a year, buy pre-cut 4x6 labelers and put them through your printer, or buy the sticky paper and put it through your printer, just like you were. I don't think it's I don't think it's necessary to buy a label printer.
Yeah, I think I got my laser printer like $20 off Facebook Marketplace. It's an old Brother laser printer. I did buy toner for it once or twice maybe.
I have a Canon laser printer, and what is nice about the Canon laser printers is that they have iron in their toner, so you can also use them to print decals on. So I would recommend getting a Canon if you're a potter.
For ceramic decals.
Yeah, if you ever want to do it.
Double duty.
It was $120 at Walmart, which is fucking cheap for a printer.
I also use the printer to print other things. I print my coupons that I put with my packages and stuff. That's they have the verbiage, and I print that on an 8.5 by 11 piece of craft paper that I just get a stack of it at Michael's or something like that. So that's like a card stock. It's nice to. I just really like the laser printer. I'm still gonna use it. I don't only print labels, so the laser printer has been very beneficial. Inkjet, fuck the inkjet. I don't need that.
Inkjets are so 1995.
I don't need it to print anything in color. So actually, the thing I do print in color, I don't use the inkjet. I go to Staples, but I print those little thank you card things. Oh, yeah. Not the thank you cards, but my information sheets that have the photos of my work, and then it talks about how I make my work on the other side, and it's got my contact info. It's kind of like a business card, a little fancy business card. So I print those at Staples and at the just the print station. Yeah. Actually, I'm so cheap that I print only the color side. I print 100 pieces of color, and then I take the stack back home and print the other 100 in the black and white on my laser. Wow. So that I don't have to pay double.
Way to go, Ryan. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to use,
And you're like, I'm going to print these 4x6 cards and maybe put a sticker in there, and I'm good.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
do we want to mention what we put in the package too? That's besides the wrapping stuff.
I mean, we can.
I mean, you already kind of said what you put in yours. So you would put a card or a sticker that has your business info inside.
My business
piece,
card is
right?
a sticker, so that way I don't have to buy them from what's the business card place? Vistaprint. That way I don't have to buy them from Vistaprint. There's a lot of business card
places, but yeah.
So I buy stickers, and then I just put a sticker in there, and I put a Wheel Talk sticker in there, and then I put that thank you card that is printed on my printer.
You put that on top of the box
on a neon 4x6
open
card.
it.
Has to be
okay,
neon.
Adding a little color in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of putting this stuff inside of the mug too, because I worry sometimes about my like cards and stuff that stuff slides around and like the Wheel Talk sticker could get lost in the box. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I
always put the stickers inside the cups, and I usually do a sticker per cup because you never know if somebody's buying for somebody else. And since my sticker says that it's dishwasher microwave safe and it has my info, I want that sticker to go with everybody. If somebody's ordering 8, sometimes I'll be like, are these all for you? Or are they for
how much like info do you need? Are you giving these to somebody that needs to know who they came from?
Yeah.
Or who to contact if shit hits the fan? Yeah, so I will, if it's a mug, I'll typically put a couple bags of tea in there because I have, it sounds bad, but I get this like cheap, my mom gave me some like cheap assorted tea, and I drink so much tea as it is that I've got tons of like good or decent quality tea that the cheap tea I'm just like I'm not gonna drink this. So I usually give a couple bags of that,
your mother
or maybe
listens
one
to
of
our podcast.
I know, but like I don't know, she should know. Like I'm a tea connoisseur, kind of.
Well, Deidre,
so I usually
so many people are getting your tea.
They are. So I just grab a couple of these like assorted, put them in there, and then I'll put the Wheel Talk sticker. I'll put a coupon, which is like save 5 off your order of $30 or more to try to encourage return customers. And then I'll put the little piece about my business card info with the photo and the like thank you for buying handmade kind of thing. And then the last thing I put in there is basically a 4x6, not a 4x6, probably a 3x5 handwritten thank you card that's on like craft paper. I'll usually put that on top. So, and to save yourself work, I actually heard somebody mention this before. They were like, I don't put the handwritten thank you cards because it feels like disingenuous or something. I'll like have a stack of 10 of these that I just write all at once. I mean, they're pretty standard, but it's still nice to know that like I wrote it, even though I have a stack of them waiting for when I get an order. All I got to do is put your first name at the top, put it in the box, and it's still a handwritten note, so that I'm not writing it in the moment. In case I'm in a rush or it's like late at night and I don't feel like writing it, I'll have a stack here ready to go.
I wonder if once I start selling like expensive cups, if I'm going to actually write a thank you card. My personality just doesn't go with that at all.
It just doesn't feel like they would read it and be like, that doesn't seem like Becca.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a thank you card for me would be like, hey, thanks, man. Like, that's it. Like, I can't figure out what to say to somebody unless I actually know them. If I didn't know them at all, like sometimes people that I do know, I'll say something, but like, so if I don't know them at all, I can't write a thank you card that's like, thank you so much, I hope you enjoy this, blah blah blah. I'm like,
do you want me to read you what mine says?
Yes.
For people out there? Okay, so these have shortened over time a little bit. I used to say, thanks so much for your order, I really appreciate the support, deciding to buy handmade, and then I'll say something like, I really hope you enjoy your purchase, thanks Ryan, or something like that.
I just feel like
right
that's
now,
implied.
all they say are, thanks so much for your support by placing an order, stay safe and healthy. And I was just saying that now because of COVID and all that. So I started doing that in 2020, saying stay safe and healthy, and then I just sign my name and put my little RD signature, and that's it.
Can you switch it up and just say don't get the Rona?
No, I'm not going to say that. Don't get the Rona.
Don't get the Rona.
So short and sweet. Like that takes no effort. That takes like 30 seconds to write it. You're telling me that you can't. I'm not saying you, but people out there that say I can't write a thank you card. It doesn't take that much time. Like
yeah, but you know how much time it takes to print off 100 of them?
Yeah, it takes you 3 minutes or something. Yeah, I mean that's fine though. Like that is you. You wrote that at one point. Like it's still applicable.
It's even got a spelling error.
And it's funny because you like crossed something out and like rewrote over it or something. So
yeah, I wrote shit and then I crossed it out and wrote stuff. I wrote it in like 4 seconds, and like part of it's off the paper too.
What if people request a gift? Do you ever get people that put gift messages in there or something? I know Etsy that comes built in with Etsy.
Oh, that did happen once.
Put the message with it.
That did happen once. I think I wrote it on the back, and I was like, "Hey, I just wanted you to know this is from so and so." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
short and sweet.
Andrew,
you don't have to do that much overkill.
Andrew says that he hasn't used his roller printer yet because he hasn't done any filming for it, and he feels kind of messed up to use it before he does any videos of it. So I was gonna.
Like he hasn't even unboxed it or anything like that.
Yeah, I was gonna have him compare because he has a Dymo. I was gonna have him compare the Dymo with the Rolo because he would be a good person to compare that.
Yeah.
And but he hasn't used it because he feels like he needs to. If he uses it, he needs to take videos of it, and he hasn't had time to take videos, and I commend him on that.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, the only negative about it is just, and it's probably just a very specific to your situation and where you do it, but like the footprint of it has to be appropriate. Of, the paper has to unfeed, like it's folded, so it has to like unfold and then feed cleanly through. If it doesn't feed cleanly and it kind of like has any kind of tension, it could like stop the print after it prints a label, and like you gotta like refeed it, but. That's probably just a logistical thing you got to figure out with where it goes, but...
Yeah, that makes sense.
Pretty simple.
So, what...
I like it so far.
Do you use, like, when you are printing onto your label, what software and what programs do you... or what websites do you use to print your labels?
So, probably 85% of the sales or 90% of the sales are going through Etsy.
Okay.
So, Etsy has that option... For the print shipping on labels, you can choose the 1 per page. You can choose the 2 per page, which is where you do the 8.5 by 11 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do the label option. So I do the label option. When I used to do on the paper, I would do the 1 per page, and then I would change the print format to like the A5 option, which is like the 8.5 by like the half. I don't know.
8.5 by 5.5. 8.5 by 5.5.
Yeah. 8.5 by 5.5. So that's what I would use for that option. But yeah, so I'll use the Etsy out of the box thing. And then if it's USPS, I haven't found a way in USPS to do it through the label printer.
But you go through the website.
And I haven't tried. I would go, yeah, if it's like a one-off thing, like these things that I'm going to sell like to somebody individually, I'm not using a separate software like you're using Shippo, or some people use like ShipStation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use the USPS website and then go in, and I have to print on the laser printer for that because it comes out at 8.5 by 11, kind of a half page sort of thing. So that's what I'm doing now. I haven't gone the whole ShipStation route. Or the Shippo. What about you?
Okay, so like previously discussed, I use Shippo. And the reason that I use Shippo and not ShipStation is because I switched to Square Weebly for my website, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but I would not recommend it. It's not great if you're doing updates, I'll say that. Kind of sucks for updates, but everything else is kind of great.
Were you on the full-fledged like Weebly? No. I know we've kind of looked at my site versus your site. It's different. Okay.
Yeah,
yours is like Weebly Lite or something.
It's specifically through Square, so it like hooks up to your Square account, and so and it was really helpful when I had the shop. But now that I don't have the shop, I'm not sure that it is actually necessary. So I think I'll be switching to ShipStation, or not ShipStation, to Shopify soon. But let's talk about what I currently have. So I currently have Square that hooks into Shippo, and so whenever somebody places an order, it goes straight into Shippo. Now I can sync my Shippo up to a variety of different e-commerce stores. So I'm pulling that up right now, but my internet kind of sucks.
So you could hook it up to Etsy, for instance.
Yeah, potentially you could hook it up to Etsy. So what this helps with is if you're selling on multiple different platforms, it all goes to the same place. So like, for instance, Andrew, my best friend, he sells on Etsy, he sells on ShipStation, or he sells on Shopify, and he sells, I think, one other place. Oh, Jane.com, and then he sells like Mercari or whatever. I don't know what that is. But
yeah.
But so he has ShipStation, and that basically goes through everything. Like, it just pulls everything in, and that way you don't have to deal with going to every single different place and finding which store has which, you know? I feel like
Yeah, you don't have to change the way that you print labels. Like, if I was on USPS, I have to print them this way. If I'm on Etsy, I got to print them this way. And
yeah, and it's also free through Square. I don't know why, but it is. It's like free through the Square website. I believe that Shopify potentially has its own shipping platform within the website, but I'm not sure. Rebecca does something specific. I'm not positive, so I can't really say to that, but I think they might. But like the featured platforms that you can connect to your store is Shopify, Wix, WooCommerce, Amazon, Squarespace, eBay, ePages, Etsy, GoDaddy, Magento, Weebly, Wix, WooCommerce. So there's a few different ones, but they don't all hook up, so you kind of have to see. I used to use ShipStation. ShipStation is great as well. So what's great about Shippo is that it takes all of everything. Like, so you would put in the box size and the box weight, and then, but you can do that multiple. So I can click like 6 of them and say, like, these are 6 by 6 by 6. They're 4 pounds, well, not 4 pounds. They're 1.2 pounds. And then it'll auto generate what's the fastest or what's the cheapest solution. Sometimes you have to go through because sometimes it has like parcel select, and I'm like, I do not want it to get there in 10 days. Thank you. Because 2 cents doesn't matter to me. But yeah, and so like they have a really good discount with UPS right now, which is fantastic. That's actually almost cheaper than USPS. And what I do love also about something like ShipStation or Shippo is that shipping internationally is a piece of cake. Yes, shipping internationally is like an absolute piece of cake, and so that's...
What kind of level would you say it's worth to do one of these, like third party, like Shippo or ShipStation? Are you mainly benefiting from the convenience of doing multiples? Like, would you only do it if you sold through, like, if you just had Etsy?
Okay.
Like, is it beneficial there, or if you need to create one-off labels?
It's good for creating one-off labels, but also, like, I should mention that, like, Shippo comes free with Square. So, like, if I didn't have Square, I think that I wouldn't have Shippo because Square, you can do it directly onto the website. It's just not as integrated and it's not as nice. And also Square.
So you would have to run it as like a Square transaction, and you would like invoice somebody that way?
No. They can create a label on Square, like the Square Weebly site that they have. Like you can a lot of website like, you know, like Shopify.
But when I think of Square, I think of the point of sale. So like I don't have any site or anything that uses Square. So if I have a point of sale Square account, is that the same thing?
No. Point of sale Square is different from Square website. So Weebly, we'll just say Squeebly. Squeebly is Squeebly has its own shipping like integration, but they also pair with Shippo. So, and you can get the Shippo for free without paying extra. So I chose that because it's a little bit easier. Squeebly doesn't have a great integration site. Like they're kind of new, so it's like I don't know why it's not
Squeebly.
called Squeebly. So
they're gonna be like looking up Googling Squeebly. Like,
so Squeebly like doesn't have a great shipping situation going on. It's not as easy to change things around. Like you couldn't like go in and change the address if like for some reason the person typed their address in wrong, you could not go in and change it. So that's why moving it into like an off account is nice.
what about like box size and stuff? Like in Etsy, a lot of times I'll kind of estimate what I think it is, but maybe I can fit it easier in a different box size than what it estimates, or like I want to change the box type that it's in or something like that, or the weight's a little bit different. Like, can you go in after the fact and change the box to whatever you choose to do and like the weight and stuff? Or does it have to be whatever you define it beforehand?
Yeah, no. You can. It doesn't even give you a box size before. I mean, like I'm sure you could set it up so that it had a specific box size, but no, I go in and do the box size afterwards.
Okay, you just assign it after the fact with the weight and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the. Do you remember when we were doing? Oh, this is the wrong account. Do you remember when we were doing pot swap? I've been logged out. When we were doing pot swap, you have to have an international tariff code, and I feel like that is very important that we should talk about this right now. So anyway, yes, I've always used like this extra thing. I'm not saying that it's necessarily necessary because like I said, like Shopify, I've heard has a great shipping integrated system within the website. Square does not. So that's why we use this. And you just kind of have to like see how it is. But whoever gives you the best discount is who you want to be with. That's a pretty
Yeah, I would say going directly into the USPS website, like, is probably not giving you the best rate than what others can do. But, like, right now, there's no way that I can manually just go into Etsy and create a label. It has to be, like, a previous customer that has bought within a certain period of time, and maybe I can, like, kind of backdoor my way into creating a label, like I'm trying to, like, ship them a replacement or something. Like, you could go into somebody and, like, create a new label.
Yeah.
And pay for it that way, but it's kind of like hacky way to do it. Otherwise, I just go right into USPS. I don't know if a third party would be worth it for me just to do these one-off labels to pay the difference of whatever. I mean, Shippo, I'm guessing otherwise you have to pay monthly or yearly.
I think a lot of the times you can get them for free, but you're like you have to ship less than 5 packages or something like that, you know? If you're shipping like you could look into it. Yeah, it's definitely not worth it if you're shipping 10 packages a month, you know, if you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I found it. So if you are shipping via customs, like if you have to ship to another country, there's a tariff number that if you have a pen and paper, or you could just listen to this later, or we could probably put it on our highlights or something. The tariff number is 69120023. 69120023. I feel like I'm saying my phone number in a
Repeat it one more time.
69120023. Though that's the international tariff code for stoneware pottery. So that will, if you put that on your tariff code, that'll say, hey, this is pottery. This is what I'm shipping, just so you know. It's very helpful, and I haven't had any issues, I don't think, with international
tableware, kitchenware, stoneware.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. You're going to want to use that. And
assuming you're using stoneware, is there difference? Well,
do you think
other
that,
than
do you
porcelain
think that
or
if
China,
you're shipping to England, they know the difference between stoneware and porcelain? No.
No. This does not sound like stoneware. This has translucency like porcelain.
Yeah, no, they don't care. So keep that in mind. And then also, I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, if you say it's a gift, that's ideal. But if you're selling it for money, don't say it's a gift. Like, you actually sold it. But make sure your value is correct, and so on and so forth. If you're shipping to Canada from the United States, I found that shipping anything less than 2 pounds is ideal. It's like $20. If you ship over 2 pounds, you're going to be paying $40. So keep that in mind.
What about the whole, is there some general, first I wanted to ask about kind of the difference or the reasons between using a flat rate option versus a non-flat rate option, like a priority option. Like, why would you choose to do the difference? I mean, we mentioned at the beginning about convenience. Is it worth? There's some, like, leeway here, because for me, like, I'm trying to go with the cheapest price possible so that they're not paying an exorbitant amount of shipping cost at the end of it. So that I'm conscious of that, because, like, convenience for me, like, I don't think it's good for the customer to pay $13 in shipping if I can ship it for $8.
Right. So, I think that what a lot of people don't understand about shipping, and I'm really hoping I'm not getting this wrong, because I don't think I am, but I could be. In my experience, what people don't understand about shipping, and it's more concerning about the weight of the package than the size of the package. And typically shipping...
Can you repeat that one more time?
So
it is more important?
It's a more important... Like, the weight of the package is more important to the USPS than the size of the package. So,
okay. After
it's 12 inches wide, 12 by 12 by 12, and bigger... Yes. After it's 1 cubic feet bigger than that, then the size kind of matters. But, like, here, we can do a little comparison. So, then that's when the size comes into effect, but it's actually really important for your weight. So, like, a 8 by 8 by 8 package that is less than a pound is going to be significantly different than an 8 by 8 by 8 package that is 2 pounds, So, yeah.
Is it a lot of the pound threshold is a big differentiator? I know you said Andrew's kind of known a lot about this with where the differences are. Like, if you go over 16 ounces, there's definitely, that's like a breaking, that's kind of a threshold point where the prices change. Maybe USPS has this on their website, and then it's like 2 pounds, it might change and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, okay, we've got a box. We'll do I just had a, let's say I'm shipping a box that is 8 by 8 by 8, and it is 2 pounds to myself from myself. Okay. Oh, also, we should mention that the United States is separated into the time zones. I think that's about what they use as their shipping, like, zones. So, like, all of the Western states, it's going to be cheaper to ship down than it will be to ship across. So, if I was shipping from Washington to California, if I ship like a 20 by 20 by 20 box, that's 50 pounds, that's going to be $35 to California from Washington. But if I shipped it to Ohio, that's going to be like $60. So there's going to be a lot of difference, like, laterally across the country instead of horizontally. So that's something to be said. So if I was going to ship an 8 by 8 by 8 box to myself at 2 pounds, it's going to be $7.59. This might not work because...
It's going to be very dependent. Base these numbers based on we are shipping from the Midwest. Like, it's going to vary. And I wonder if it varies based on how many hops it takes. Like, how close are you physically to a big city? Like, I'm really close to Cincinnati, Ohio. That's going to be easier than somebody that's out in the boonies that has to take, the final mile or whatever kind of thing is what they call it, from your house to the post office, from that post office that's local to the, like, bigger post office, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, that price probably changes a little bit too.
Well, yeah, and, like, the middle of the country is so different from the, like it's so the middle country gets it like so easy because you're shipping basically the same distance whether you go left or right. And like if you're in Washington or California and you have to ship all the way to New York, it's like, what the hell? So okay. So so I changed my shipping address to Washington. Okay, so the sender is in Monroe, Washington, and the receiver is in Indianapolis, Indiana. So an 8x8x8 box that is 2 pounds is going to be $10.86 UPS ground on Shippo and $11.69 USPS priority mail. It'll be $10.79 USPS parcel select. So that's $1 difference.
I don't think I've ever sent anything parcel select or
I definitely have. Okay, so if I make that 0.99 pounds, just under a pound.
So that's like 15 ounces, something like that.
15 ounces, an 8x8x8 box. I did not change the dimensions, and it's 0.99 pounds. That changes to USPS first class package mail parcel at $5.98, like $5.98. Parcel select is $8.15, and UPS ground is $8.58. So
wait, what was the first one you said? That was USPS what?
First class.
First class.
First
okay.
class.
Can you ship ceramics first class?
Sure. But it has to be under a pound. There is no smudging this one.
Okay.
If it's over a pound, they will catch you. And I know this because Andrew got caught.
Okay, so first class, the differentiator for first class, just no matter what your shipping is, under a pound.
Under a pound. And like, let's move the box size. So let's say it's 10 by 10 by 10. See if it changes.
You're shipping a pillow.
Shipping a pillow, 10 by 10 by 10.
You're shipping packing materials.
0.99 pounds. $5.98. Okay, let's go to 11 by 11 by 11.
See, I think I'm learning something about packing because I've actually shipped 5-ounce boxes priority with my shot glasses, and maybe I could be shipping these things first class.
Yeah, so 11 by 11, $5.98. Okay, let's go 12. I learned this from Andrew. He's like got the...
I would say typically you're probably going to be shipping priority though. Typically. As your like baseline.
Typically, but this little information about first class is really important. So 12 by 12 by 12 is still the same. Let's see if it changes at 13.
I mean, that could end up being your customer buying something versus not because of the $3 difference in shipping.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 13 is the same too. So if you have, but also it does go up. So like UPS first class is $5.98, but UPS ground is $21.48. Parcel select is $49. This is at 13 inches squared. But
is there a typical threshold that you use, whether it's box size or weight, that generally tells you like I'm probably going to be shipping this FedEx or UPS?
Yeah, I usually say like under 10 inches. I'm usually shipping at USPS. Okay, so let's change the weights on an 8x8 box. So 8 cubed, 8 inches cubed. Well, not really.
So that's like a mug or a bowl.
Okay,
or
so
typically
we went at 0.99 pounds. That's $5.98. UPS first class or just regular priority mail is $8.80. Okay, 1 pound. It jumps up to... Oh, good. Okay, so 1 pound is the same price. It's $8.80 for priority mail, $8.15 for parcel select. Okay, we'll do 1.5 pounds, same box size. $10.86. Oh, $10.79 for parcel select. $10.86 for UPS ground, $11.69 for priority mail. Okay, 2 pounds. We're just going to do priority mail from now on because I don't want to say them all. 11.
I mean, I pretty much anything that's, for me, anything under like 4 or 5 pounds, I'm most likely going to be doing USPS just for the convenience factor at a minimum because they pick it up from my house.
Right.
So like that extra $1 is worth it for me to just have them pick it up and just use USPS.
Totally. Okay,
versus
so
just taking it somewhere. But.
So 2 pounds is $11.69 priority. Now let's go to 4 pounds. 4 pounds is $13.25. 6 pounds is $13.25. 8 pounds. Well, let's do 7 pounds. $13.25. So it looks like at some point the box size, like, kind of like evens out the weight size.
Mm-hmm.
The weight cost. Anyway, that was your little tidbit of shipping information from Becca that I learned from Andrew that I still don't really understand.
See, I'm probably gonna change my first class thing like tonight.
No, I think the
See,
first
I don't know
class
why
is
I
like the
assumed
most
that.
underestimated. Like when I ship tiny cups or something, or just one cup, and it's like less than a pound. Like I know people that specifically make sure that their clay is less than a certain amount of weight, so like for their little tiny match strikers, so that they can ship it first class.
That's a good point for sure. And that's where buying the right size box is appropriate because, for instance, if I have that USPS priority box, I can't do that first class, right?
No, the box
It
weighs
says
too
priority
much.
on it. Okay.
That too, but like
if it was low enough, can I use that USPS priority box for first class?
I have no idea. That's why I don't buy
That's
those
the thing I'm
boxes.
not sure about too. I think we talked about this before. Can you do non-priority things with the boxes that say priority on them? I don't think you can.
You can always cut it and turn it inside out. I mean, you can.
Oh, man.
A lot of those boxes, like the tube boxes, the ones that are the triangles, one side of the box is priority mail and the other side is express.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if we answered the thing about the flat rate, but the reason the flat rate, like how much more are you gonna kind of pay for the flat rate?
A lot more.
We answered that.
Because
Are we talking like $2 or $3 more, like an $11 shipment versus a $13 shipment?
I think so.
As far as I know, the smallest like doable box for flat rate is like the medium one, which is kind of like a rectangular box.
Yeah.
But it's not that deep.
No.
And it's like bigger than you need. So I want to say that's like $13.
I know. I think that flat rate is just a fucking piece of shit.
Unless you're shipping like bricks or something, like
yeah, unless you're shipping like 15 pounds.
Like
of
if you're getting if you're getting material like raw materials or something, like that's good for flat rate because it's really compact and it's dense.
Yeah, because like I think the clay, like a box of clay fits in one of those the large flat rate boxes that cost like $20.
Yeah, but shipping like pots and stuff, I feel like for me, I'm doing my customers a disservice by making them pay extra for my convenience of choosing boxes. But I'm also wasting more packing material to do that. But if I'm shipping a couple things, like it might fit better. But
so let's talk about to close out because we're almost at 2 hours. But I feel like this topic was deserved of this long because it's a complex topic. Let's close out with how you charge for shipping.
So I'm doing Etsy, right? So I do not choose the free shipping option. I choose to have the shipping added to the price. And then if it's USPS or whatnot, and I'm getting somebody to buy from me and I have to put in their info, it's more work on my side, but I will ask them, hey, can you please send me your address? And I'll give you a proper total with shipping, and I'll plug it into USPS, kind of generate a label, get the estimated price that I can get the cheapest based on an estimated weight. Like I know a mug's going to weigh about this much, and then I'll give them a total with the shipping cost. So that's kind of how I do it. I don't do like an included rate or anything like that. How do you do it?
And
how does it differ based on the different ways that you would sell?
So I used to do that. I used to like charge shipping and then refund the cost or, if I went over and my biggest like pet peeve about the Squeebly site. I really want it to be called that now. My my biggest pet peeve about the Squeebly site was that you have to pay like a shit ton of money just to have like, oh, your box size is going to be 8 by 8 by 8. This is the cost that it will be. And it predetermines the shipping for the customer. And I just have never found a good system for that where it predetermines where it's
based on the box size?
Yeah,
or...
like the box size and the packing. Okay. And I think that when I started, I just didn't know what I was doing. Now, I think that if I went in and I was like, okay, I know these mugs are going to be 8 by 8 by 8. And I know that if you get 2, it's going to be 8 by 12 by 8. And I know that if you get 4, it's going to be 15 by 15 by 6. And, like I would, there would be a certain...
You kind of know what's going to fit in a box and about like what kind of cost you're looking at difference
like
based
now
on the multiples.
I kind of know a little bit more, but like last year I saw that Rebecca Graves Pottery, Rebecca Graves Prowse, Graves Co., she does just a flat rate $5 shipping, and she adds the cost into the mug on the back end. And so I started doing that. I just upped my prices.
Is it typically $5 onto the mug price?
Yeah, $5.
And then $5 for shipping?
Yeah, and it works out fantastic. So $5 onto the mug price. So if I'm going to ship a mug, it's going to be 8 by 8 by 6. And it'll be 1.5 pounds. And also I've learned that the UPS doesn't really care about the weight. By the way, they don't really care about the weight. So I always estimate my weight. I always try to make it a little bit more. I'm like, that looks like it's 2 pounds.
Yeah.
So I know that if I ship an 8 by 8 by 6 box, it's going to be $10.79. Okay. So I charge a $5 flat rate, and then I add $5 to the mug. That's fine. I'm not losing that much anyway. And then, but that encourages people to buy 2. So if I'm going to do 2 mugs, and I know that mine's going to be 8 by 8 by 12. No. Yeah. I think. Okay, 8 by 8 by 12 is going to be 3 pounds. And that price is going to be $15.05. So it's like right on the money. So
the thing that you're doing different here is they're still paying a $5 shipping.
Yeah.
On 2 things versus 1 thing. So they're paying the same shipping price, but the difference is you're adding $5 extra into that total because of the second mug.
Right.
If you take $5 from that second mug, $5 from the first mug, that's $10, and then you add the $5 of shipping flat rate.
That's $15.
That's $15 total, which makes up for exactly what the shipping was going to be anyway.
Correct. And actually, it's not like USPS is $15.05. UPS ground is $12.10. So I would pick UPS.
Okay.
So that's kind of where that and
is it easy to set that flat rate thing up on the platforms that you're using?
So easy, and it was like the amount of stress that has been relieved from my shipping life was phenomenal. And also, I know that sometimes it doesn't work out. Like I know that sometimes when somebody's going to order a larger piece or whatever, it's not going to work out. But the amount of times that I've made money off of shipping something in a smaller box or, shipping it first class makes up for the difference in when I lose a tiny bit of money when I have to ship something that's a little bit more.
Yeah. Plus, I think it's just good from the customer's perspective. They, like you said, it's driving them to buy multiples, as well as like peace of mind. They know exactly how much the shipping is going to be on everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice. And I mean, like, I understand free shipping too. I think free shipping is also a way to go. I know that we had a little squabble about that like a while ago. Jen, my best friend, my out-of-state best friend. Well, I guess she's my out-of-state best friend times 2 now. Anyway, she was like, tell Ryan that I definitely look at free shipping. She's so funny. Yeah, she buys a lot of shit. And so like she's one of those people that, and she supports like Etsy followers and stuff, and she says that it definitely matters to her. But like it doesn't matter to everybody, but it does matter to some people.
I mean, I'm willing to change things. Like the $5 flat rate, like that sounds enticing to try and see what happens. I mean, just from talking to you, the whole first class thing, like I'm gonna change that on my shot glasses and my air plant, like those little things. Those things are well under £1. I'm definitely gonna do that.
Right.
See if that's possible.
It just
see
makes
what I'm gonna
sense.
save in shipping and.
Yeah. Oh, and also I should say, like, also I've been shipping like earrings and stuff, and the first class doesn't cap at $5.95. Like if you ship something that's literally 2 ounces, 3 ounces, 4 ounces, and it's like a tiny little envelope, it's $3. Like it's not it's not like it's gonna always be $5.95. It can be less.
But that's a big difference, though. I mean, that could definitely be the difference between buying one thing or just not buying it all versus buying a couple or whatnot. Yeah, because at the end of the day, if the shipping is more than the cost of the shot glass, I can't even remember what my shot glasses are now. $8, $9, $8, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shipping is the same or more than the shot glass.
See, like on the shot
glasses, they're still under $20 total. They're probably like 16 or something, but you know.
Yeah, and I mean, like on the shot glasses, you could do a $6 flat rate, and then if somebody added a second one in there and you had that flat rate system where you added money on the back end or whatever, then you could be like
I would have to price up the shot glass though, right? I would price it from $8 to like 13 or something, or 12.
Not necessarily, because something small you could potentially only price up like $3 or $4, like $3, because it's tiny, so you can add it into something small. But if you get 2 shot glasses, I think you could probably even still fit those in a first, like.
I can still. I think 2 of them might be like 11 ounces or 12 ounces. Yeah. Like I think it's still under 16.
Yeah, exactly. So. But like I said, do not lie. Do not lie. Like make sure you weigh it on the first class. Like it's got to be right.
Yeah. Is the you said the $5, is that $5 like $5 added to the piece? Is that pretty standard across every single form? Like if you were shipping a big pitcher, is that still $5 extra you would add on to it, the same as like a mug?
I don't ship pitchers, so.
Or a big serving bowl. Probably don't ship those either.
I feel like I shipped 1 serving bowl.
Like would that differ at all? Because the confusion for me would come in like keeping track of what my retail price is, what I need to like sell it for,
I think it was
and then
$10 more.
Like in person versus like listing it online, and why there's differences there, and like I don't know.
I think it works for me because I ship mostly small stuff because I only like making small stuff. But I think I did ship the big one, and I think it was $15 to ship, and he was like, yeah, it's fine, I'll pay $15 to ship it. But it wasn't off of my website. Like he didn't buy it off of my website.
Mm-hmm. It was a one-off, so you kind of asked for his address to know how much you were actually going to pay.
Exactly. So there was that. I think that like this is just one of those things that you kind of have to like figure out. There is a formula, and you just have to kind of figure that formula out. You know?
Yeah.
Lloyd.
There's definitely some trial and error. Like as I go further down, I can see the convenience of your way of doing it. So, but yeah.
I mean, everybody has their own ways, right?
Yeah. And some people don't even want to have like 3 different types of boxes or 6 different types of boxes.
Right.
Or, like maybe they don't have space to store all that stuff, as well as a big 2 things of packing peanuts and like these fancy gadgets to do everything.
Yeah, and I mean like
maybe they're only shipping a few things.
And look at how easy it was for us to figure out, like for me to go onto this website, and you can do it on whatever website you're going to use, and just plug in numbers and be like, okay, this is kind of the size box I want and how much I think it's going to weigh. Like I know that 2 mugs is going to be 3 pounds, like, you know, and mm-hmm. like plugging in those numbers and seeing the prices, and so you can really figure out what you're looking at, you know? Like I think that shipping is such a thing that we look at like last minute. We're like, oh, shipping. It's like, and really I feel like it's almost the first thing we should be looking at. Like, how much am I going to be paying for this? How much is somebody else going to be paying for this? How can I make this as easy as possible on myself and somebody else?
Yeah.
And
I've got screwed a couple times with that. especially with like those mystery boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you can underestimate how much stuff weighs, and depending on if you pack 5 things versus 3 things, and if one of them is a larger thing that's kind of hefty, like, you're gonna go above. Like, if you estimate at 3 pounds and it's actually 4 or 4.5 pounds, like, you're gonna get kind of screwed on shipping a little bit there. So,
well, maybe
like, estimate appropriately. I wonder if the flat rate thing for your mystery box thing, did you do a flat rate?
No.
And added. Or
I did $5. But like $3 versus, or 3 pounds versus 4 pounds. I don't think that's much different. That's no difference in cost.
Maybe it was like, I don't know. It was something like that where I estimated it being like 3.5, but it was like 4.5. So it kind of went over that threshold. It wasn't like getting screwed by like $4, but it was like I undershot. So I was paying the difference in shipping because I didn't actually meet the number that they paid for it. One other thing I do on Etsy, I add a 50-cent kind of like handling thing on there. So like every shipping label includes 50 cents extra, which
that was nice about Etsy, and I think you can do that on a lot of places where it's just like,
yeah, I kind of do that as a little bit of a buffer in case I underestimate, as well as just paying for some of those shipping materials. Or you could see it as like I'm paying the labor of the like time I'm doing to pack this stuff.
Yeah.
But
just so you know, there was no difference between 3 pounds and 10 pounds on this in price. So that's when I'm like, when I said that the USPS doesn't really care about weight, I'm being like, they really don't.
You said USPS
yeah,
doesn't?
USPS doesn't really care about weight. It's like they do, but they don't. It's so weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it's like
contradictory.
I am unbelievably honest. Like, I try to be at least. At the beginning of like my shipping extravaganzas, like Andrew would find out that if I shipped it a pound less, that it would be like, I can't believe I'm saying this, that it would be like, $3 cheaper or $4 cheaper or whatever. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And so he would make me get.
You mean for the mystery box thing where you were piling stuff in there and deciding what to put in there?
No, this was just like before that, just randomly. Like I would ship something and he's like, if you did that for 2 pounds instead of 4 pounds, it'd be a lot cheaper. And I'd be like, Andrew, I'm not going to lie. And he's like, get out of the chair. And so,
you mean undershoot it, not like, you need to use a smaller box and use less packing material that's not so heavy.
No, like undershoot it.
He was like, just mess it.
And he was just like, he would be like, get out of the chair. And so like he would do the shipping. He would press the things because I can't, because I'm like, that's like not honest. And we've gotten into like fights about it. But I mean, like, obviously
that sounds bad. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm as like, I've shipped as many things as possible. Like I've shipped a ton of things. So like if I'm shipping 2 cups, I know how much it weighs. I've weighed them all. I'm not going to weigh each package if I ship 6 2-cup boxes. Like the first package is going to be the same weight as all the rest of them. And if it's not, it's going to be goddamn close. So
I mean, you're talking like 2 or 3 ounces here. Yeah. You're not talking half a pound.
And I always try to shoot up like, I'm like, it's going to be 3 pounds. And it's usually like 2.5. But it doesn't matter because it didn't change any price. Right. That's the thing. You can be a little lenient on that if you need to be. Like I always say, go up a little instead of going down. but
you need to have a good baseline, so that when you put your stuff online, that you're confident in the weight. Like I know a mug is going to weigh 1.6 before with packing because I've done it enough.
Yeah.
Estimating a pound is going to shoot you in the foot because you didn't do it right.
Right. I mean, like, you have to have, like, I've weighed plenty of packages. It's not like I haven't. But, Oh, also, scales. We never talked about scales. I got mine off Amazon. Yeah. Which ones did you get?
Yeah, I just have a cheap digital one off Amazon.
Make sure you get one that goes up to 25 pounds.
I don't think mine does, but I don't think I've shipped... If I've shipped anything that big, I think I've just used the person scale.
I have one that goes up to 50 pounds, and it's so awkward trying to like figure out the the weight, because you have to like put a small box and then put the big box on top of the small box so that you can read this. Like, oh,
so you can read it. Yeah, I just put a bowl on top, like a ceramic, one of my bowls on top, so it like lifts it up 5 inches so I can see the number. But yeah, just a cheap digital scale.
Yeah.
All right. We didn't actually bicker as much as I thought we would.
I know.
I kind of.
Maybe we got our
I
bickering
kind of drew
out
back
of the
on the
way.
regional, so.
Maybe we got our bickering out of the way. Anyway, I do want to like semi-end this with be as honest as you can. It sounds like I wasn't like, I'm not telling you to be dishonest. I'm just telling you that, yeah. I'm just telling you that sometimes we know about weight and more stuff than we think we do. And it doesn't make sense to weigh everything each time. Especially if you're consistent. If you're not consistent, you better weigh that shit. That's your...
Better weigh that shit.
That is your... what is it? That's your punishment for not having consistent pots.
Yeah. If you're not starting all your mugs out with a pound of clay and getting them about the same amount of clay by the end of it.
Yeah.
And you're shipping them out about the same, then get more consistent.
Yeah.
Unless that's not what you're shooting for.
Oh, yeah. If you want to have everything different, then that's fine, too.
All right. Did you want to sign off with what you first started with, just in case people forgot?
Yeah. Remember that air fluctuates. And to use
air
paper.
Expands and contracts. Use something that does not change in shape and...
Oh, I also saw this
volume.
guy on TikTok or something, or on Instagram or something, and he has a machine that literally turns cardboard boxes into shipping. Like packaging. Like
I saw that too.
Did I send
actually
it to you?
saved
Did you
that.
send it to
it
me?
was I saw it on a post, but it's like a rigged up way that you have to use like a paper shredder and like take all of the teeth off of the paper shredder that cuts the paper and like grind them down with a bench grinder.
That sounds
so that it was like 4 hours of work, and then you put it all back together, and then you have to like disable the whole like thickness thing, but you can feed the cardboard through it and it'll like perforate it. But
do
like,
they make
seeing
one
the
that
video
you can buy?
Yeah, but it's probably like $300 or something. I don't know.
That's crazy.
It's like you pay for all of that work that they put into making it, or you spend $20 and you spend 4 hours of work to do all this stuff, you know. And do you have the expertise to do all this? But it was an Instagram post that I saw, and then I went to their website and saw how they like detailed what the process was for actually like DIYing it.
Yeah, I think I saw the same post.
Yeah. I mean, it looked cool, but actually when I see him like putting it in the box, like that stuff was just retracting back to how it was, and it was still flat, and I was like, I mean, that didn't really like
help.
Like I saw you crinkle it, but it just contracted back to flat.
And you know what my like instinct, my knee-jerk reaction was like, God, I would not want that many boxes in my studio. Like that's why I got away from using recycled material. I'm 100% all for using recycled material, but when you're shipping so much stuff, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like there's just you have like a you have like a closet full of things. like you just have like,
and there's a lady that brings boxes every like 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. We actually just had somebody pick a bunch up today.
It's like just,
I have to find a way to continually get rid of them.
Yeah, it's like
or
such
share
a
them
waste
with my
of
peers.
Space, and it's just like terrible. And like, I don't know, like at some point it just makes more sense to just buy a fucking roll of paper or buy the Rampacky.
That's why I got the Giami wrap thing, hoping that the footprint is a lot smaller and I can get my cost and my time more worth it in that aspect. So but hey, the peanuts take a lot of space too. I mean, those things are freaking huge, those bags of peanuts.
Yeah, they are, right? They're stupid huge. We used to have a peanut chute.
Oh really? Yeah, with a little open close thing.
Yeah, Andrew,
I think I remember you trying to like hang that.
Oh my god, that was so terrible. And then one time we put Lloyd in it.
Oh my gosh.
And we also...
Did he not rip holes in it?
What?
Did he not, like, rip holes in
He was very little.
Oh, okay.
He was super tiny. We also... This was fun. You know those tiny, tiny rubber duckies? Andrew put, like, little codes on them for, like, discounts on the bottom of the little rubber duckies and put them in the peanut chute. And so, like, random customers got, like, a little rubber ducky and it had a coupon on it.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. This is our long episode.
Yeah, sorry.
We haven't done one this long in a while, but I think it'll be beneficial for people.
I feel like this one's going to be a good one. I think that it was very informative.
Yes, I hope so.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah.
And we will catch you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate it and we're having so much fun. If you want to follow us individually on Instagram, you totally can. Ryan's Instagram handle is @RDCeramics and mine is 5 Lines Pottery. That's the number 5. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget to write us a review on our podcast. We read every single one of them and we totally appreciate them. They help us out an awful lot and they also put smiles on our faces. I hope you guys continue to listen and we love you. Thanks. Bye.